It is composed of different organs that enable the food we intake to be converted to an energy that we use in our daily lives. So let's get further discussion. So digestive system has six major functions. We have ingestion, digestion, secretion, mixing and movement, absorption, and excretion. So ingestion is the way we intake the food through our mouth down to the stomach. Then the digestion, how the food is being digested in the stomach. Then the secretion is the process by which a substance is being discharged by a cell. Then we have mixing and movement. In mixing and movement, there is what we call peristalsis in digestive system. It is the movement of alternating muscle contraction to push forward the food we intake from mouth down to the stomach. Then we have the absorption, how the blood absorb the nutrients came from the food we intake to supply for the whole body or system. Then the excretion is the eliminating the waste or the food that are not already needed by the body. So that are the six major functions of digestive system. So the digestive system and body metabolism. So digestions, it is the breakdown of ingested food from mouth coming to the stomach, and stomach is the organ where digestions of food happens. Absorption, passage of nutrients into the blood. How the blood absorbs the nutrients needed by the body. Then the metabolism, production of cellular energy or what we call adenosine triphosphate. So there are two groups where we can categorize the parts of the digestive system. First, we have the alimentary canal and the accessory digestive organ. So let's first come to the organs of alimentary canal. So we have the mouth, the esophagus, pharynx, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and the anus. So that is what come the group of alimentary canal. So, so let's go to the mouth. So mouth, there is what we call mastication. Mastication is a scientific term we use for the word chewing, chewing of food or mastication of food. Then mixing masticated food with saliva. Saliva has a chemical that enable us to taste the food. So we have the pharynx. Pharynx has three parts. We have the pharynx anatomy. We have the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. So nasopharynx is near to the nose. It is not actually part of the digestive system, but yet it is part of the pharynx because as you know, pharynx is also part of the respiratory system but also plays a role in digestive system. So oropharynx is just a posterior to the oral cavity. Posterior, only at the back of the oral cavity. And the laryngopharynx is below the oropharynx. So that composes the pharynx anatomy. So the function of pharynx, passageway for air and food, because it also play a role in respiratory system. And food, it is where food enters coming down to the stomach. Then food is propelled to the esophagus by two muscles. We have the longitudinal linear layer, inner layer, and circular outer layer. So if you remember what I've said, the peristalsis, it is the movement, alternating contraction of muscles layers. The longitudinal and circular alternating contraction to push inward or forward the food coming from the mouth. Then we have the esophagus. So esophagus runs from pharynx to stomach. From pharynx, it is here, stomach to, from pharynx to stomach, it is the esophagus. And conducts food by peristalsis. Peristalsis also conduct peristalsis, same as the pharynx. And the passageway for food only. It is the passageway because, as you remember, pharynx is a passage, is a branch for the respiratory system. And esophagus is only for digestive system. So there are four layers of alimentary canal organs. We have the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, and the serosa. So mucosa, it is the innermost layer. Submucosa, beneath the mucosa. Muscularis externa, it is the muscles in the alimentary canal organ. Then the serosa is the outer layer. So in the picture, you will see the inner part. It is the mucosa, consisted of surface of epithelium, lamina propria, and muscle layer. Then the next to it is what we call submucosa, composes of submucosal gland. Then the next to it are the muscles, the muscularis externa. We have the longitudinal muscle layer and circular muscle layer. They're responsible for peristalsis. Then the last is the outer layer, what we call serous. So next we have the stomach. So stomach is located on the left side of abdominal cavity. Left side of abdominal cavity, and the food enters through cardioesophageal sphincter. So there are four regions of stomach. We have the cardiac region, the fundus, body, and pylorus. Cardiac is near the heart, from the word cardiac, and then pylorus is the funnel-shaped terminal end. At the end, later we're going to have a picture. And then the rugae and internal folds of mucosa. Then the external region of lesser curvature and the greater curvature. So we have the stomach anatomy. So this is the cardiac sphincter. The cardioesophageal sphincter next to the esophagus. Then the outer layer is what we call fundus. Then next to it is the serosa. The body is in the center. The body is composed of muscularis externa, the three muscles, smooth muscle. We have the longitudinal layer, then the circular, and the oblique layer. Then this is the rugae of mucosa, the greater curvature and the lesser curvature. And then the pyloric sphincter, the terminal end. So stomach function acts as a storage tank for food. It is where the food is being stocked, or storage, or where the food stays. Then site of food breakdown, where digestion happens. Then chemical breakdown of protein, because because pancreas releases enzyme juices that helps the stomach to digest the food. And then the liver's chyme. So chyme is a scientific term used for the processed food, the food that's been already digested inside the stomach. So next we have the small intestine. So small intestine plays a big role because it is the body's major digestive organ. Well, why? Because it is the site of nutrient absorption into the blood. Small intestine absorb the nutrients that are needed by the body. Then there are subdivisions. We have three: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. So the chemical digestion in small intestine, there are sources of enzymes that are mixed with chyme. We have the intestinal cells and pancreas. Pancreas enable or help the digestive system to digest the food that we have intake. Then bile is produced by the liver. Then, so structures involved in absorption. We have the absorptive cell. This outer layer is what we call absorptive cell. The blood capillaries, of course, because blood is the one that delivers the nutrients all throughout the body. Then the lactis, it is the part of the lymphatic system. Then the folds of the small in- intestine, called circular folds or plicae circularis. Circular, called plicae circularis. The deep folds in mucosa and submucosa and do not disappear when filled with food. The submucosa have Peyer's patches. If you remember in lymphatic system, Peyer's patches are the collection of lymphatic tissues. And then the digestion in small intestine. So break double sugars into a simple one. Then completed the small protein digestion. And then, what I've said, pancreatic enzymes play the major digestive function because without it, it will be hard for the stomach to digest the food alone. So, responsible for fat digestions, or what we call lipase, that digest nucleic acid or nucleases, and the alkaline content neutralizes acidity. So, in small intestine, water is absorbed. Yes, along the length of small intestine, and products, it is absorbed by active transport through cell membranes. And lipids are absorbed through diffusion, what we call from lower concentration to higher concentration. Substances are transported to liver by the hepatic portal vein or lymph. There will be a picture later. So, propulsion in the small intestine. Propulsion is movement forward or inward the another organ. So, again, peristalsis is the major means of moving food. The alternating contraction. So, next, we have the large intestine. So, large intestine is larger in diameter but it's shorter than the small intestine. Shorter than frames in internal abdomen. So, we have this picture. This is the uh, large intestine. We have the ascending colon, the transverse, the descending, and the sigmoid. Ascending, transverse, descending, sigmoid. So, what is the function of large intestine? It also absorbs water, yes, eliminates indigestible food from body as feces, eliminates the food that are not already needed by the body through stool, and does not participate in digestion of food. Yes, it does not help in digesting food, but it does excrete the the indigestible food as feces or stool. So, structures, we have the second appendix. If you're familiar with appendicitis, it is the entering of appendix. Then we have the colon of what I pointed just a moment ago, the ascending, transverse, descending, and sigmoid. So the food breakdown and absorption in large intestine. So no digestive enzymes are produced. Yes, because it does not play a part in digesting food. And resident bacteria digest remaining nutrients. So there are some remaining nutrients because large intestine absorbs water, then produces some vitamin K and B, releases gases. Yes, water and vitamins are absorbed, and the remaining materials are eliminated as stool. Then we have the accessory digestive organs. We have the salivary glands, teeth, pancreas, liver, and the gallbladder. So, salivary glands are saliva-producing glands. We have the parotid gland, submandibular, and sublingual. So, saliva is composed of mucosa, of mucus and serous fluids. It helps to form a food of bolus. It contains salivary amylase to begin starch digestions. and dissolves chemicals. Saliva dissolve chemicals in the food, so we can taste uh, the food that we have eaten. So the next, we have the teeth. So teeth, the role is to masticate. Again, masticate is the scientific term for chewing. It is the main role. So human has two sets of teeth. We have the deciduous teeth and the permanent teeth. Deciduous or milk teeth are 20 in set, full form at each of two, while the permanent, it is being replaced by the deciduous beginning at 6 to 12. A full set is 32, but not all people have wisdom tooth. So we have classification. The front part is what we call incisors. Then the next to it is the canine or eye tooth. Then next to canine are the premolars. They're first and second molar. Then the molars from first, second, and third. The third molar is what we know or what we call wisdom tooth. So there are regions of the tooth. So this crown or the exposed part of what we can see is called crown. Then the uh, neck region in contact with the gum, where this crown and gum meets. This is what they call uh, neck. Then the last one is the root, carrying blood vessels and nerves. So next is pancreas. So produces a wide spectrum of digestive enzymes. So the products of pancreas are insulin and glucagon that play that plays a big role, just like insulin. Insulin regulates the blood sugar, and without it, there will be an occurrence of, or there should be a maintenance of insulin for people whose pancreas is not already functioning well. Then next we have the liver. It is the largest gland in the body. Liver is the largest gland all over the body. Located at the right side of the body, under the diaphragm. Right side of the body, under the diaphragm. And consists of four lobes connected to a gallbladder via common hepatic duct. And liver is the one that produces bile. Next is the bile, produced by the cells in the liver. Composition, you have the bile salts, bile pigments, cholesterol, phospholipid, and electrolytes. So the role of liver in metabolism, uh, it detoxifies drugs and alcohol, then degrades hormone, produces cholesterol and blood proteins, and plays a central role in metabolism. So last we have the gallbladder. Sac found in hollow fossa in the liver. It is connected in the liver. Stores bile from the liver by way of cystic duct. Introduced into the duodenum. Duodenum is the first part of the stomach. Then the gallstone can cause blockage. This is what we call uh, when a person have gallstone or bato. Angelica Espinosa, BSN 1E. Thank you.